look at all these people, top producers here. So yeah, we're very lucky to be here. Everyone can hear me fine, right? Okay. This is an event that we put together just to kind of share everyone's experience. These people up here, obviously, they're very successful top team leaders, independent agents here. We're lucky to be just a really close-knit family, and we're all close-knit now with EXP. And what does that do? It breaks down any barriers that we have. The collaboration has been just, there are no words to describe it. So this is just to share everyone's experience. Everyone here are talkers, and they're good listeners too. So let's get this rolling. It's really kind of a free form. I don't know if you guys prepared anything, but pretty much we'll have, prompt questions, but pretty much to share what your experience is. What are your favorite parts about it? What are the things that spoke to you the most? And then anyone can get started, actually.
Go ahead, Tina.
Maybe we can go down the line and say, how did you guys first hear about EXP? What was your experience?
Tina.
All right, so I was the first crazy one.
Right.
Well, actually, I take that back. There are so many agents in our market that were at EXP. Let's not take the credit. They just, for whatever reason, didn't make enough noise. I wasn't listening and paying attention. What I started to see was agents outside of our area that I followed and admired and watched, people that had $10 million coaching companies, people that had teams selling thousands of homes. I was like, why are these people doing this? And it finally became enough for me to kind of tap in and listen, but I only thought of the people here in our market that weren't making a lot of noise with it. And thank God for me, I had a really good friend who reached out to me and said, I'm coming to EXP, I'm not coming to Keller. I'm going to EXP, I'm not coming to Keller. I thought she was coming to Keller Williams with me. And I said, why? She said, you have to watch this video. For 2 months, she hounded me and I was not listening. I did not have my listening ears on. And finally, she caught me at a weak moment and she said, you have to watch this. So I did. And at 10 o'clock at night, I remember that moment in bed, I spent an hour watching this video and I made a list, pros and cons. And I just thought, even though I wasn't attracted to the brand, I was attracted to the business model. And I'm like, this is genius. But my ego stopped me from saying, but I just don't like the logo and I just don't like the brand. But when I put my ego aside, I thought, but this is just what we've all talked about, what we've wanted to do for years. And this is a vehicle to do it. So I took the plunge in April of 2019, I think it was. And then soon after, this one calls, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? And I'm like, well, this is why. And then this one calls and they don't know each other's calling, right? They're the same brokerage, which I think is funny because, right, great minds. And they're both, and I'm like, how am I going to tell these two that each other's calling? And but it was interesting because I thought, that's the pain. We have the pain point. All of us realtors have these certain pain points after many years in the industry. When you first get in, your pain point is I need to sell a freaking home. And then eventually it's, I need to grow a team or own a brokerage, but there's no exit strategy. Nobody ever teaches us an exit and the days of selling our brokerages are gone. So that to me was the feeling of, oh yeah, there's pain and we're going to grow this thing. And so if we can cure the pain and come together, then we can really help other agents and grow this business, grow this model. So
Absolutely.
That was mine.
April, you want to follow that?
Absolutely. I will say though, actually, I heard about EXP over 2 years ago. I met with an agent who was, for lack of a better word, trying to recruit me. And I kept saying, I just want to do real estate. I'm not trying to get into business for that. I just want to do real estate. And I completely just put it, out of sight, out of mind, never looked back. Now, I will say, Brian and I have said 100 times, now that we're looking at the stock and everything, we're like, man, do you know what it would have been if you would have listened 2 years ago? But the difference is I would not be in this group 2 years ago. That has been the difference in my business, the collaboration. Marty and Sharon and Kelly have been great mentors for me for over 6 years. And why would I not want to continue those relationships and continue growing that? And that was something that I didn't want to give up.
I was just teasing you, by the way. I think Tina hit it on the head, though. It's not when you first heard about EXP. It's about what was the catalyst to make you listen. I heard about EXP 8 years ago, and I was like, "This sounds like a Keller Williams knockoff to me." I'm all in with Remax. It's all Remax, and for me, it was when I discontinued my Remax franchise. and decided to go independent. And the sky opened up because now I was profitable for the first time in my life. I was able to call my own shots and determine what I was going to do for my brand, but I had no time. And I said, this will kill me if I go at this pace. This will kill me in less than 10 years. And so
Everyone's nodding.
for me, I was ignoring the EXPs that were whispering in my ear. But then a brand new agent said, well, you know, Marti Hampton joined EXP. And I'm like, no, she didn't. She's with Remax. She's like Miss Remax. But I walked away from him and went and rushed home to Google Marti Hampton EXP. And there she is. And she's like, click here to learn more. Click here to learn more. Fill this out. Let's have a one-on-one. And you know, that was the catalyst for me, because following her career, even from the time that I first joined Remax as an agent up until the point where I opened a Remax, I've always looked at the Martys. I've looked at Buddy Blake. I've looked at those people and said, man, how do they do it? One day I want to be like those guys. And for her to make a change so dramatic in her career, at this point in her career, so there's got to be a reason why. And she told me every reason why, which really resonated with me. It was because the biggest reason that resonated with me was because it was the best opportunity, and I'm not saying her words specifically, but it was her best opportunity to help those that have been loyal to her team, her family, that people that are coming behind her, to have something to show for their hard work. And that's exactly all I wanted when I went independent. And everything that I also wanted, I don't have millions of dollars to go public in the stock market. I can't give healthcare benefits to my staff and agents. That's just, we're not big enough to do that. And so everything that Wohl Realty was going to become, EXP already was. And that got me excited. So I said, sign me up.
Right.
And I have a different perspective, actually. If you guys have watched the video, Marti interviewed me a little while ago, so I'm going to repeat that very, very quickly. So I was with Remax for 20 years, and in my years, Remax went public. And while I love the company, I was the #1 agent 3 years in a row in Raleigh and Caul as an individual, then the state of North Carolina.
North and South Carolina. You were the #1 agent for a very long time.
I worked so hard, I started to begin if I'm gonna die, right? Because I just work 7 days a week. So when Remax went public, I jokingly asked the franchise owner, by the way, what kind of stock options you guys getting? Because I haven't been notified. And he said, no, we're not getting anything, but Remax encouraged us to buy the stocks.
Yeah.
And I said, there's something must be wrong with that, because I work nonstop. I had that little working ant on the bottom that I'm paying my franchise fee all the way to the top. And the guys who I met, they're wearing nicer suits than I do. And they don't work 7 days a week just like I do. So there was something wrong. So about 2 years after that, I said, you know what? I'm #1, but I also the #1 team, which is Marti. So I came to join her office. Maybe I could learn something. So #1 agent with the #1 team, it was a great merging of talents. So to me, one of the major deciding factor was Sharon, Tina, Marti, 100 million, 100 million, 100 million. I'm not on their level, right? I mean, brilliant team leaders, brilliant businesswomen. But I begin to think, there must be something about EXP that obviously I missed or I don't know. So when Tina came and gave us a presentation about it, out of the 7 wonderful ways EXP is just awesome, there's one thing stuck in my mind. I can, as an agent, be a part of a company, and I can grow the company, and I can actually buy their stocks where I'm actually working, so I don't have to be the statistics of realtors don't retire, they die on a job. Oh, absolutely. So that to me was just an amazing, amazing opportunity to be a part of a company, but I can actually be a stockholder. Therefore, I have a personal invested interest to grow the company and help others to do the same. So that is my story for my end. That's what made a difference to me.
Right, absolutely. And that's a very important point too, but are there any other things that spoke to you about EXP? I know, if someone big is making a move, you're going to wonder why they're making, what are they doing? Why are they doing it? But there's got to be other reasons. I mean, you guys are very strong-minded people, successful for many reasons. Were there other things, aspects about EXP that really spoke to you and, made you finally decide to do it?
Tina, would you like to give us the presentation?
What is one thing, pick one thing that spoke to you the most?
One thing that was really hard running a team with Remax was the overhead for the agents on a monthly basis. It was like they had a car payment, but no car. And when your market's going up and down, and you've got some new agents and some experienced agents, but then maybe they have some car accidents or a health issue that takes them down. You know, their income's like this. And when they've got that steady $500 a month expense, that was really hard. So I feel like EXP is super easy for a brand new agent and really profitable for an extremely highly talented agent. So no matter where you're at in the spectrum, it's just a really good business model for everything.
Right,
That was a big pain point, I think, for lots of teams.
right, because it's only an $85 brokerage fee
Right.
just per month. And then the startup fee is $149.
$149.
Ever.
That's it,
Ever.
yeah.
Yeah, not a continuing annual.
Marty, you haven't spoken yet.
I will.
We've been always
What was
doing it
your-
for her. I think.
I know. What was your one thing that made you be like, well, this is like, because every single one of you guys that are sitting up here could have gone completely independent. I'm sure you guys definitely considered it, but you guys decided to go to EXP. And yes, we have what's called the Freedom Builders, a group that we're all proud of. And, you know, had you done it before, things might have been different. Now is a great time because look at our family now. And most of you guys are part of this growing number. But what is the one thing for you that?
Yeah, we all could have went independent, and I think some of us did. But I like this brand because it allows you to go independent, but you still get the support that we're used to of a franchise. It's the best of both worlds. I tell people it's a brokerage in a box in a positive way, because I never got in this business to be an administrator. I don't want to look over contracts. I don't want to answer real estate commission complaints. I want to coach agents. I want to grow my own personal business, and I want to have fun in the business. And this platform, this model allows you to do that.
I would just say too, I have always worked places that gave me a lot of freedom. I didn't even understand how some brokerages kind of handcuff their agents when it came to how they do referrals, how they get their leads and what fees they have to pay, and how they have to sign 1 and 2 year contracts, all kinds of stuff that I was still this late in my career foreign to. So when I talk to other people or other people come and talk to me, and I realize that they're making a decision whether to change companies or go to even another company that wants to lock them down for a year or two. When I was starting to think about it after talking to Tina and going to a convention to kind of look at it, I just felt like we were at a great brand, a respected brand, but I kept paralleling it in my mind to Sears. Like the craftsman tools are in there that everybody likes and respects, but it's like dying off like a dinosaur and it's going to go out of business. I just felt it. Something in me just felt it. And it was no disrespect because I've been with Marty 20 years, doing Remax, and I never was motivated to make a move, but something about it kept eating at me. And then, like I said, when someone I respected in the market made the change, I'm like, can you tell me about this? And I will give Tina, like, she never pressured, she never hunted. She would just, after I asked her about it, send me little stats once in a while and showed me how Charlotte had just switched from Keller Williams after 5 years. In like 2 years had, kind of grown exponentially and taken over as being the #1 brand by volume there. I was like, there's something to that. And when you start studying it and realize it started at the West Coast and literally like a wildfire. And now it went from Charlotte, it's definitely going to hit Raleigh. And I get a little fear of missing out. Well, am I going to miss out on this? Am I going to be like late in the game? And then it's going to hit the coast, and then it's going to go country to country to country. So it just felt like there was momentum. There was excitement. There was growth. There were people who were just, I don't know, like overly happy every time you saw them and met them. At the brand, I was like, what kind of drugs are these people on? But it's like they weren't worn out by real estate. They all of a sudden had this excitement and this growth mindedness. And it was infectious. And that's where I was like knocking on Marty. I'm like, I don't know what you're going to do or not do, if you want to retire, if you want to go independent, but I don't think Remax is a profitable market for you. Do you want to consider this? And my sell to her, if she wanted to do it, was, and I think everybody should consider this, if you ever thought you were going to just go independent, just give it a try. There's no contract. There's no commitment. Nobody's handcuffing you. $149 and $85 a month, you basically own your own brokerage and you can start growing from there. Do you want to just try it? And worst case scenario, I told her, make the EXP stickers and just peel them off. Just peel them off if you decide you didn't like it after a few months, you know? Like it's not a high standard or bar where every time she talked to Remax, she had to sign another 5 years. I remember all the drama in the office every 5 years of whatever it's gonna, you know, whether we could sign or not sign, and the big wigs would come in and everybody'd be in the meeting rooms. I'm like, there's none of that. There's just none of that. It's just real deal. You want to be here, be here. If you don't, don't. And I love that says they have enough respect for the company and the brand and who they are that they're not trying to handcuff anybody to stay. They make it very easy and profitable for the agent to work there. And it does. I think at every single level in your career offers you more than any other company if you're going to be with a company.
Yeah, and I'll just add real quick, you know, the thing about this is I've heard people say this in social media, which makes me laugh. We'll strip away the stock and the rev share and what's left. I would strip away the stock and the rev share and I'd still work at this company because every realtor wants one thing. They want to sell more homes. Everybody, right? That is the lifeblood of my business. I don't wait for Sharon's $2,800 per year hoping she'll cap so I can pay my light bill. Like I have a team and we sell homes at a high level. So the number one goal of every agent at this company should be learning how to sell homes. And you have all of these great brains. I don't care if you're a brand new agent. I learn more from brand new agents because they are social media savvy than I do from us because we've been here, 10, 15, 20 years, right? So I'm learning what they're doing with ClickFunnels and all this stuff that just wasn't a part of my world. I'm learning every day. So I'm tapping into the collective mindset of people. And that's where, if I look back at my training and growth, my accountability was my coaching. My learning was my mastermind groups, right? All of the groups that I paid thousands and thousands to be a part of, the Mike Ferry groups and the Tom Ferry groups. So when you're a brand new agent, your love affair should be access to information to scale faster, access to go to Sharon and go, how do I do? I used to call Sharon all the time. How do I do this with my team? Or what do you do with your team? And you ask questions because she might have done something 52 times and failed 52 times, but then on her 53rd, she figured it out. If she could just give me that tidbit, she'll save me 52 times of failure. So strip away the stock and the rev share. I'd still be at this company because I have said this a million times. If you're an agent and you're at EXP and you're failing, there's a problem. Because there are everybody, right? Get out of the business. And I'm not trying to say that to be mean, but there is so much information. There's no reason or excuse that you should fail. So now the icing on the cake is the revenue share and the stock, but don't come to the company to be a recruiter because you're going to fail. Be a better agent, sell more homes, and you're going to be more attractive. Then people will want to follow you.
They want to know, what are you doing and how are you doing it? Well, I'm doing this because I went to this training. And then Marty told me this, and then Sharon told me that, and I posted in the Freedom Builders message, and they told me this. And that's where we all grow. We don't go sitting in an office by ourselves and hope Google tells us how to do it.
Right. Right. Yeah.
I do love that you can take little bits of
everybody
experiences and successes and failures and really learn.
Well, because one of the reasons is, I was with a different company before, another company before I went to Remax. So this is the fourth company, the last company I will ever actually be a part of. But realtors didn't share their secrets. I don't know if you guys remember. It was literally, you my enemy and you my competition, so we don't share, right? The reason is because if I tell you something, I'm not going to show you my listing presentation because you might be better than me. Well, guess what Tina called it? She said, guys, here is my listing presentation. Please do it better. I love that. I love that because every time you guys speak, every time Marti speaks, every time you guys speak, I pick something up, even after 28 years, right? I pick something up because there are things, as you said exactly, I make mistakes. And if you guys made mistakes, I know how to do it better. I'll have to learn that. And I hope everybody thinks the same way. I know these ladies and gentlemen do as well. But I think learning is constant, but on a very different level, right? I hate to say this, I'm not going to sound right, but we can share a lot of things, but somebody who built a business of $100 million, right? They have seen something I have not, right? So I want to learn what is the mistakes they have made and how they succeeded afterwards, right? It's the same thing. I'm an individual. I can tell you the same. What I made a mistakes, how you can succeed. So I love the part of open sharing because we all in it together. That's a huge difference, huge difference.
You know what I realized we haven't done? we haven't gone over like who we actually are. And you know what? I think it's important too, because I want you to first say your name, what experience you've had, like what levels of real estate have you gone through? Hey, I'm Sharon Evans. I started out as an independent agent here. I now have a team, this and that. So let's start doing that.
I'll start. Hey, I'm Sharon Evans. Is that how you wanted it?
That's what she wanted.
I love you, Edric.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Edric Williams out of Fayetteville. Started my career in 2004, went to an independent for a few years until I worked hard enough to become good enough to become a RE/MAX agent, went and joined RE/MAX, loved it. Felt like I hit a ceiling, decided to open my own RE/MAX, did that for about 6 years, and decided not to renew just because I was losing so much money because I had a different model, a different thought process that just didn't align with the RE/MAX system, which RE/MAX is great, but it wasn't aligned with what I wanted to do. So I decided to go independent in 2018, loved it. But told you earlier, just kind of hit a brick wall. There wasn't enough hours in the day to get everything done. And so after hearing about EXP for the 50th time, but hearing about the influencers that were involved, I got serious and really listened to what it was. And we joined EXP through the Freedom Builders, through Marti Hampton. Back in October 1st was our join date. And we're excited, we're growing. I'm always getting those questions. What is this EXP thing in the area? I've networked with some of you already. We've shared referrals. And I'm just super excited about what tomorrow brings.
I'm April Stevens. I actually have a very similar story to his. I got my license in 2006. Started with a general contractor, and then 2008 happened. He stopped building houses. So I immediately went to RE/MAX. They were the biggest brand in the area. As an independent, decided to start a team, and I said, if I'm going to start a team, I need to go where other people have started teams and been successful. So immediately looked to RE/MAX One because Marty, Sharon, Kelly were here. So came here to kind of figure out how to start a team, and they were great role models. And then decided I wanted to be a broker owner. Marty made it look so fantastic. I wanted to be a broker owner too. So we started another RE/MAX One out in the Johnson County area. We did that for 5 years, and I was just like you. I was on the cusp of I was either going to go to KW or I was going to start an independent. And luckily, all the stars aligned, and we joined EXP last June. So haven't looked back, loved it ever since. Do not miss writing checks, checking contracts. I will gladly pay somebody $16,000 a year to be the big and handle all of that. My husband will, agree that he does not miss any of the day-to-day admin stuff that goes with that. So, just like everybody, it seems like that's the natural progression. You go here, then you go here, you start your brokerage, and then what? And I feel like we found the then what.
Yeah, no ceiling.
No ceiling. I think my story is very similar. Just 3 years later, 2003, my name is Kelly DeBrosse. I got licensed in 2003, and kind of like her, I was sitting at a restaurant looking through their Lands and End book because I was at a little boutique shop downtown, Pace Realty Group. And I thought, I don't know how I'm going to get better at this business if I'm not around people that are doing it. And the real estate book back then was a big advertising venue at about $800 a page. So this little office that Marty had her, Linda Kraft, and Sharon Evans in it. And they had like 13 pages in this book. And I'm like doing the math. And I'm like, yes, this is where I need to be. And I was very intimidated because they were all powerhouses and it was a very small company. And I'll never forget going in there, and Marty likes hot tea and she's drinking her hot tea. And I was 26, you guys. She's like, so what motivates you? And I'm like, money. Money motivates me. I'm like, I'm going to need to make $100,000 this year. And she was like, okay, come back tomorrow. Right? And then from there forward, it was just a fire hose, much like EXP, of information to a new agent. It was just going to trainings and listening to how they each did their business. They all did it very differently, but very successfully. And I was very fortunate that because I chose that office, we had the experience where everybody shared in the office. I left for a little bit, went to a different RE/MAX, totally different atmosphere. Nobody shared anything. It was we don't have enough of anything sort of an attitude around, including business. So for me, I came running back home, and I'll pass it over to here so she can take it.
Well, they all were such a benefit to me, but I come from a different perspective. I've been in real estate. You know, the ladder up real estate, you start as an individual agent. Then the typical ladder, you get a buyer's agent. Maybe you start focusing on listings, you get a couple of buyers out. Maybe you get an admin first. Man, I was so unorganized when I first got in real estate. I mean, honestly, I would put the deal together and the file would lay on my desk and it would scream. It would scream, and my phone would ring with people that were very mad at me because I wasn't handling it, because I was out getting another deal, because I was too scattered at that point in time, and I had bills to pay. I was a single parent, blah, blah, blah. So going up the ladder and watching other people, the first big move I made was from Prudential at that time to RE/MAX in '96. And I cried. I loved those people. I went to at that time, the owner of the company, and just disgraced myself as a businesswoman because I had tears in my eyes and I didn't want to leave. And I actually knew that he was giving a man in the company a better deal than me as a woman. So I had a little bit of that going on. But anyway, I ended up leaving, and I left because I was leaving $300,000 on the table, and I needed that for my family, much less paying taxes that I was probably behind on at that point in time. So I went to RE/MAX. I doubled my income and I left probably Prudential making maybe 380, something like that. When I went to RE/MAX, it doubled. I went to 800,000, and I made a little bit of a deal with them, you know, a little deal. And so then the next thing you do, you've got a team, you're doing pretty good, you're doing that. So what do? You do what Edric did. You man, I need to own a company. I'm good at this. So you step in, you own a brokerage. That was the path at that point in time. And then I quickly learned that recruiting was a whole different ball of wax. And that agents, that was a whole different thing. And that, you know, after a few years of running that, I made more money on my team than I ever did running my brokerage. I know firsthand that the old school model of brokerage is truly broken. And it's a lie if you hear it any other way, unless you own a region. From where I was as a single owner, I would have had to own a region to really have the ability that I had as an agent running a team, because I was killing it running a team. So all of that fast forwards, I renew with RE/MAX. It's a good brand for me. I mean, I rented that sign and I paid them a lot of money for the rent. I wrote out a lot of checks. And so this last move, I had heard of EXP long before Tina moved, but Tina was the first person that I noted that was here. The other people, I started seeing movement from masterminds across the nation that I was involved in, top teams, this, that, and the other. So that was a clue. And I didn't want to change. I hate change. I mean, just detest it. But you know, I just don't like to do. I come the same way to work. I have to force myself to drive a different way to work, just so something will spice up my day a little bit. I eat the same things. I go to the same restaurants. I mean, I'm a creature of habit. So all of that was going on, but you know, one of the things that's so silly, but I love my team. I work with my team. I work with these guys that work in the office with me. I spend more time with them than I do with my own family. Unfortunately, I wish it was different, but I love these guys. And I love the agents that I've worked with one agent for almost 25 years. So I love these guys. And the first thing I was able to do of note was to buy health insurance for my team. And that was a big day for me. That was honestly like being a single parent when I first could afford, I was in my 30s before I could afford life insurance. If something happened to me and I died, who's going to take care of my kids? Because my family's not very stable. So I said, you know, I got some money here going on if something happens to me. And I was able to buy life insurance. And that was a big day. I was at RE/MAX when that happened. And so the other big thing was when I was able to buy just regular health insurance for people who worked in a great industry that has no benefits, which is real estate. It not only has no benefits for the people that support it, but it also has no benefits for the agents. There's lots of companies that could have solved healthcare, but they never stepped up. NAR gave you something that was a Band-Aid, which was in name only. And this company that was the first thing that I really noticed. And all my people, when they switched over, they actually saved money. And they talked me into paying the same amount that I was paying on the other plan. So the only money that went down was their money. Smart people. So that was it. And so I do hate the change. And honestly, one thing I would tell you for sure is that I know more about EXP I'm more sold on EXP right now than when I made the change. And that is the truth, because I see the future from looking back at 35 years. I know from talking to many people in many companies. I think I'm just going to mention another company that is a shadow imitation of EXP. It's Fathom Realty. It's somewhat similar, but why haven't the big names moved to that company?
Right, across the country or anywhere, yeah.
Why haven't you seen the movement there? That's because the flow is undeniably going this way. And this company, I believe, has the ability to go to 500,000, maybe 1 million people around the world, because agents work under this. COVID proved it. It's there. So it's very exciting. Plus the fact I could have worked independent and just kind of faded on out, but fade is not my style. So that's it.
So I'm Thomas Wohl. I'm not going to be a broken record. I'm going to keep it short. So I've been licensed in 1993 when I was 23. So I started to practice in 1994 with a local company called York Properties.
I was 11, by the way, just in case.
And York Property had a owner called Smedes York, who actually built Cameron Village, and they had, in politics and, just builders, developers. So I was a new kid on the block with my lovely Hungarian accent inside the back line. Can you imagine how that go? Not well. I left. I joined Caul Banker shortly after. And with Caul Banker, I had a very dear friend of mine, because obviously I was a new agent back then, back in the 90s. I think the average price for a house was about $136,000. So you had to do a lot of business in order for you to make any kind of a living. So I started to drive on executives for a company with actually did executive relocations. And one of the ladies, somehow, she said, I like the idea of helping companies, but why don't I provide exclusive relocation for those companies? So it was, of course, Howard Perry and Wallstrom, Farmer Morris, a lot of the big players who were doing relocation. So I helped her a little bit, went to present to Galaxo when Galaxo merged with SmithKline. But Lord behold, I was one of the 9 agents who was actually relocating their workforce, right? So I went to my company, and the only thing I said, by the way, I know I'm a new agent, only been out 4 or 5 years. I like to get just 5% higher in my commission, because I'm going to be bringing you probably excess of 200K in business in the next year or so. And you know what I was told? No, you stay on your level. It's okay. It's like, interesting. So what can I do different? Well, guess what? That is Remax. I walk into Remax with 5 contracts in my hands and say, by the way, I'd like to join today. And I'd like to assign the contract. So I spent 20 years with Remax, and I think everybody pretty much said the same. Very high fees. And I was just idling. After I don't know, about the 15th year, I was just idling. And I said, okay, great company, all that stuff. I went to all the events. I've seen pretty much everything. I'm paying my franchise fee. I'm paying about $1,800 a month plus my franchise fees. And I am tired. I'm broken. I will die on a job. Although I'm a #1 agent, so I can put it behind my name. That's fantastic. And then a very good friend of mine, obviously you guys know the story, that I joined because of Marti, but somebody's name I forget to mention, who I respect greatly, and unfortunately she's not here, is my dear friend Renee Hillman. And Renee also runs an amazing team. And she was part of the reason I came here to Remax, and also part of the reason I joined EXP. Because while I'm surrounded by brilliant minds, she's also somebody I look up to in business, like I'm sure you ladies as well. So I was convinced that if everybody is switching, and once again, you guys heard about the $100 million production here, there, and elsewhere, right? It was so different for me when I wasn't really stuck, but I was doing the same thing as Marti. I tried to find a different way to go to work, because it was the same thing every single day, and nothing really has improved or changed. And I started to think that a lot of brilliant people, they may need to make a change to move forward, and literally I'm in a holding pattern, right? So when EXP came around and Tina gave the presentation, and I wish you could repeat it in 5 minutes. It's like a light bulb, and I was like, oh my God, I've been waiting for you. but waiting for that opportunity to do something better for ourselves as agents, not for the company, right? So I think it's a different theory of doing something for other agents together versus I have to do something for the company, right? I think that's an old-fashioned statement, and I think it's an old-fashioned model, although I'm not bashing any companies. I think they're perfectly fine as they stand. I no longer believe in the model because I have seen it. So that's pretty much my stories. And
I like how you said, I'm going to keep it short. But for those that don't know Thomas, that was probably the short version.
I love it. Well, so I'm Tina Caul. I've been licensed since 2001. I started my career in Michigan. So for 7 years, I would just, I was doing what the other agents in the office did. And I went up to maybe 30, 40 deals a year. And that was just my life. And market crashed. And I was leaving the business actually, because I went from making 150 grand a year to 40. And I'm like, this is not fun. Like being a therapist for 40 grand a year, I'm just going to go be a decorator. So I remember putting Leave It All in a Day design. I took an ad out in the Yellow Pages. I got 2 clients and I was like, whoo, this is my new path. And thank God, one of the top agents who was like a Sharon or Marti or April in my market up there, I realized that she was with this coaching company. And so long story short, I met her. She said, this is what changed my life. I said, great, I'm going to hunker down this $1,000 a month, which I couldn't afford at the time, $1,000 a month. And I joined the coaching company, and that coaching company gave me the opportunity to change my belief that, oh my gosh, I'm in sales and I need to become a salesperson. I need to learn scripts and dialogue. And I watched my income go from 40 back to 150. And then I was like, well, I could do this anywhere. If I could build this here, let's just move and let's think bigger. So it was the journey of thinking bigger started then. And so my coach said, what would you want to do next? Well, I would want to move out of Michigan because the wind hurts my face here. And so we traveled down to a few different parts in a few different states in the South. And when I literally rolled into Cary, North Carolina, that was it for me. I was like, this is home. And so we started our journey here in 2009 as a new agent in the market. And so I picked up the phone and I called expireds and FSBOs and circle prospected. And I remember my first appointment was off one of Linda Trevor's sales. And she had sold the house and I was just calling around the neighborhood. So long story short, Dave Anderson, I remember across the hall at RE/MAX, everybody here had an assistant and I never had an assistant. I was a hot mess express like Marti, like, just doing my deals and going out and, messing up all the time as far as like contracts. So I got my first assistant and that was like, wow, this is leverage. This is awesome. And so from 2009 to about 2014, I stayed independent with Kevin, my assistant Kelly, and myself, and we got up to about 130 transactions. So it went from being fun to being, this stinks. I hate this business. I'm not having fun anymore. I need to build a team, I think, and I didn't feel that I was a leader. So it was very intimidating for me to bring on an agent and then they're coming to me for leads or their business, so it's a scary thing. And so I brought on Laura Payne, I remember, and she's still with me today. And it was like, she took all the buyers and I was like, oh my God, my weekends are free. This is amazing. So then the weekends are free. Then you hire the next partner and the next partner. Now I have this little family and I'm like, okay, if I grow it big enough, I will finally, after 17 years, have leverage and I can step out of the business. So my next step was stepping out, stepping back and just running the team. I hired Pam Saxman and she was the organized, corporate, knows how to run people, other side of my brain. And so then we started to grow the team. And from there, I realized that I thought I had no time running my little team, even though I was golfing 3 days a week. And then Pam comes in and brings this we have meetings, we have deadlines, we have things, we have to teach things. I'm like, this is exhausting. So I went from having a little bit of a life to no life, right? And I'm like, well, this is not fun either. I thought that this was what we were doing, growing this team. And so that's where I started to get a little depressed going, there's gotta be a better way to have leverage and to exit this madness. And so that's where EXP came in. We were gonna go independent. We left RE/MAX in 2017. We went to Keller Williams, which was a fine experience. I liked the people there. It was really good. And
She was on Gary Keller's Power.
Yeah, Gary Keller, top 100. But, again, people weren't sharing like they're sharing here. And so even though I liked it, I thought this was a better model. So for me, my thing was there's no way I could ever, monetize my brain. I don't want to be a coach. I don't want to have 500 coaching clients. So if I'm teaching the agents on my team the right way to do real estate, even if they left my team, which you've had a couple people now leave your team and you're cheering them on, right? You're going, wow, good for you. Even if they leave my team, they're within the organization. So there was never that, that fear of like, you're teaching these people and they're going to go out and leave you. And so that was a cure to me, to the team leader that wanted to leverage, to step out of production, that could really pour into their people and love on them and teach them the right way. So it cured that for me. It also cured the fact that getting stock in a company, because I was at Remax when we went public and I was like, well, we get nothing. Yep. So to be in a company where it rewards you with pieces of ownership, even if it's just, 200 shares here and 200 shares there, you feel better about the company. So you're willing to help an agent across the country who's coming to EXP, even though I have no financial tie, I want them to come to the company because I'm a shareholder. I want everyone to come to this company around the globe because I'm a shareholder, whether they're under me or not. Come to this company because you're gonna have a better career. So I liked that piece. And then of course the revenue share piece, if you give people value, just like as a real estate agent, if you give a seller and a buyer real value, they're going to come. If you give an agent value, so you don't just tell them come to EXP because we're awesome. If you show them 5 or 6 or 7 exposures of value, they're going to join you. And so that was really attractive to me, not to have to hunker down money and buy a brokerage. I could just give people value and then they might follow. And so it really did work out, for all of us, I think, being here. So that's my story.
It's hard to imagine that you didn't see yourself as a leader, honestly.
Yeah.
Still today. I mean, I don't think anybody, you turn around and go, oh my God, they're still following it. It's that imposter syndrome. I think a lot of us have it, nobody just
into your
becomes
self-doubt
a
all the
leader.
time.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. Let's see. Where to start. If you don't know, well, a little piece of my story, which people sometimes think is interesting. I grew up in Morrisville when Morrisville was nothing but a flashing stoplight and a little Morrisville Gulf, in a trailer with holes on the floor with a hoarder mother. And now I have gone, because she at least stressed education. I got a chemical engineering degree from NC State. I don't know why I'm crying. You're actually telling your story. And it empowered me to get out and have stability, not be in a trailer. Anyway, so
God, you're gonna make me cry.
So I'm very, very fortunate that the real estate bug bit me. It was a terrible job market. I got to run around up and down the East Coast doing stack testing for air quality work, transitioned quickly into, after doing that for 2 years, and it was a miserable life, doing some state government work, which I shouldn't say this, but you don't necessarily have to put full guns blazing 40 hours a week to get the job done and do it well. I was, kicking ass over there. And then, fortunately got into buying a property, getting married, decided I needed a little rental property. My husband's like, what is your problem? Why are you doing all this? I just think that's your formula in life. You start making some money, you buy a house, you get married. That's what you do. I don't know why. That's what's my formula. And from there, I got a license and said, I've got to just get into this and figure out A to Z, everything about it. Fortunately, a lot of people I knew wanted to buy and sell because they were of my age group or got to know me through my engineering work at the state. And a lot of them are still on my docket. It seems like 1 or 2 a month I'm buying or selling with some of those guys still years later. But basically in real estate, I built up from me running around every moment of my life, buying and selling with people, answering my phone. People say,
even when she was in labor, negotiating deals.
Yes. So my top secret when people ask, what is your secret? Answer your phone. Get your number out there on things. Marti allowed me when I first came to her and said, here's what the sales I've had, and I've done this for 2 years. Can we do this? She's like, sure, take my beeper back then. Take my beeper. Take my beeper that, on the homes and land books, go back to Kelly and her homes and land book stuff, and, keep it for a week. Any of those people you talk to, put them in your car. And so we did. And so then you learn, and you guys need to learn, we are a group of a lot of leverage here. We've all said, if we have listings, if we have them coming soon, if we have them in our office exclusive, use that, leverage it where you can as your own, because that's what Marty allowed me to do, is start marketing properties to make my phone ring or make it come in as an email. So just know, like, all of that is there for you guys. But I grew this from an assistant to agents. The first one I ever hired, Meredith Price, is still with me. Thank God. She is just an amazing person if you ever get to work with her. But we grew and grew and grew. And then, like I said, I kind of felt like the brand itself or what I was doing was not really going anywhere. I was kind of softening out. Should I just retire? I bought a lot of rental properties, and something about it, like I said, I just talked to Tina one day, hit me. Okay, I'm going to vet it a little bit. I'm going to tell Marty, I'm going to vet this thing. And then, you know, it's just kind of turned into now switching over to this, which has re-energized me. It has made me want to get up and do this thing again. And I had gotten to a point where I was not that I mean, you did it. You love the people who loved you and called you back, but it just, like he was saying, you're on this hamster wheel. You just felt like you're doing the same thing every day. And am I just going to keep slinging houses every single day, or am I going to find dynamics? And this company just gives you so many more dynamics. Now you can cheerlead on agents. You can, if I'm not a like pushy like Caul or recruiter or anything, but if someone asks me, or I think it really has a benefit to them to know about it, I'm genuinely, selling is not selling like teasing somebody into buying some widget they didn't need. Selling is, I love to match a property to someone that I know is their best for the money they can spend, and I'll feel good about the investment. Selling is, I know I'm the best agent, and let me tell you why. I'm not full of BS. So just know that, like, get out there and you can sell EXP to people without selling. You're explaining to them why this is an amazing model and what benefits it has to anybody at every level, and what leverage this type of group. And people, if you guys don't know it, the Kyle Whistles and Dan Beers in San Diego that are unbelievable agents who've grown teams and are just full of AI and information and how to use ISAs and all these things. Like, you can go so much quicker than we have ever grown because of what we've got here and above us to leverage and to use. Tune in to all their webinars, like, just get it going.
Right. So I can tell, I seriously can tell you guys are re-energized, and really this brokerage is a catalyst. I mean, it's your company, and that's what is energizing and motivating. Yeah. I love it. Thank you. So where do you see the future? Where do you see EXP? Where do you see us in the next 2, 5, 10 years? And then maybe like a little piece of, you know, we're probably coming to an end here, but maybe some advice that you have for people that are either considering other brokerages, or just advice on the business that you've grown.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Well, what I would say is, you know, a lot of people say, oh, it's just too late. It's just too late, Martha. You know, everybody's at EXP now. That is the biggest piece of BS ever. And so what you have to think about is this company grew from 1,600 people 4 years ago to almost 50,000 today. There's 2.5 million people in the US alone that are licensed, right? And that's not including global. So we are just getting started, right? This company is just getting started. There's so much to learn, so much collaboration. I just know that an agent's success rate is going to go up here. The retention rate is really, really high. And it's the word's going to get out that you're going to be able to come into a company and rub elbows with people that are actually giving you all of the stuff, so you don't have to have a learning curve of 20 years. You could probably build what we built in 3 years. Mm-hmm. Like, literally, if I had all this information, I could have built my 10-year, 12-year stretch in 3. And so I just think that is what's really getting out, that you're going to be able to have a learning curve correction here if you tap in, like Sharon said, because we're building a network of agents helping agents helping agents. And let's remember, you know, there's sometimes people say, oh God, that's a pyramid. And I just chuckle, because we're not selling widgets, right? We're all selling real estate. And when you really think realistically, the money at every brokerage starts with the agents. We're the MVPs. And then our money goes up to the team leaders, to the OPs or broker owners, to the regional people, then to the founders. Here, Sharon sells a home and I get a tiny little piece, and Michelle Sayward and Mark Z and Curtis Shewell and Dan Beer and Kyle Whistle and Curtis Johnson and Chuck Fazio. These are strangers to me until now. They're like my family. So these 7 people get to pour into Sharon because when she sells a house, they're making a little piece, just like the founders and owners and regional people were getting, which I never had a relationship with those people, but I have a relationship with the 7 people above me because those are the agents pouring into me. So same thing with all of us, right? So when you think about that and you come into a company, where do you want your money to go? Your hard-earned money that you're paying for. Do you want it to go to a broker owner like Marty used to be, which is fine. That was her business strategy, own a brokerage, right? It's fine. Then once it continues to go up the levels, you're going to lose that personal touch from your broker owner. Once that money continues to go up, it's gone. So yes, you do have a relationship with your broker owner, but where are you going to learn more from a broker owner who decided to jump into a business that's not doing business anymore, right? Because usually brokers wanted to get out of the business, and there's nothing wrong with that. But my feeling is every time I sell a home and I know Michelle's getting paid and Mark and Kurt, I am so thankful because that $2,800, that measly $2,800 is nothing compared to the value that they've given me. And my business has almost doubled since I've come to EXP, and that my agents get to benefit from. So I love it.
You know, I would,
Go ahead.
no, I would say it's a great place. I mean, an 80-20 split for a first-time agent coming into a business is great.
Huge.
Hooking into free training, like Thomas Wohl does a new agent training, and he gets people off the ground and really doing that. We've got more new agent training, I think, than any company I've ever been involved with. I know KW charges for that. Somebody was talking to me the other day about going to MAPS. I said, how much is that going to cost you? Here, it's free.
Yeah.
So that is great. And honestly, as you progress up the lever, by the way, I didn't make money as a broker. I made money from running my team. Honestly, that was the way that I made my money in real estate. But I just want to reiterate that because I think there's people out there that, and now they've got an independent team, and they really should be looking at this because to me, there's 2 things that are stopping them: ego and greed. Now, when somebody doesn't want somebody that they hire to do better than them, that's an ego issue. When somebody that doesn't want somebody that they hire, I want everybody I hire to be the next 20 top teams on this in this industry. I want them to have this ability to do much more than what I've done financially, which has been like Sharon came from. I came from that kind of environment too. And I love that. I love that, being able to give you that. And it's not just, you know, the stock is great. RE/MAX never gave me stock. Stock is much better than the trophies they used to give me. We threw all those trophies away. They filled up this place. I mean, it was unbelievable. And then, you know, I ended up paying, I didn't pay EXP to work for them for the last year. They paid me. By the time you counted stock and everything else, they paid me. I never had a year like that at RE/MAX. So I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful for, and another thing is if you're an independent agent running a brokerage, you're doing whatever deals you're doing 100 million, this and that. I mean, that's really fancy. I'm really proud for you. But what are you giving your people? What opportunities? And I've had people try to explain to me, oh, well, we buy investment properties together. And they've tried to give me their plan of what they do. We let our people invest in this. Nothing compared to what this company can really give people. 50 states where they can do business in, now worldwide. It's an incredible, it's an incredible opportunity, and I'm awfully glad that I wanted to fly with.
Do you remember what you said to me when I was in your office that day?
What'd I say?
Your first response when I said I really wanted to do this?
What'd I say?
It might be good for you, honey.
Well, it was, honey. It was.
Because I remember saying, if it's good for me, it's good for everybody. It's a business decision.
Yeah.
Look at it with
Yeah.
us. So.
Yeah. And when I did take time to look at it, that was the truth. It was good for everybody. I can't think of, you know, unless you're just fading on out, you just don't care. You're just going to do a deal when grandma calls or something. I mean,
honestly, even for that person, you can't get better than $85 a month in free training. It's still good.
It's different sometimes though. When you're on a broker owner level, Marty mentioned ego gets in the way. First off, you're like, I've worked hard to build this. I'm not giving it away. And then the second thing is the financial part of it. That's the conversation we have for weeks. I'm going to lose all this money because I can't have my agents come join EXP, pay me what they were paying me and pay EXP. So I got to give away my business. And that was the conversation we had. Hey guys, I'm going to give my business away to you. Here's what I want in exchange. I want you to help me grow this thing and help me scale it, and we'll all benefit from it. And when I saw it from that level of clarity, and I was complaining about the 30 agents I think we had at the time, and Tina put Chuck Fazio on the line, who's like, yeah, I had 700 and I lost 900 and I lost 600 or something.
Yeah.
And we're growing. We're already going to bypass that in a year and a half. So I know what it's like to lose money and to lose momentum, but you get a boost, like a boost pack when you join this brand, because people jump on, they see your excitement about it and they want to follow it. Now to jump on your question of where do I see this industry going? I think it's as clear as day. There's a company out there that sells leads that's not in the real estate industry and has no intentions of getting in it, that will be in the industry.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll let you guys name who that is. Where is our place? I think consumers, that's who pays us. They're going to demand more from agents. They're not going to need agents.
Yes.
They're going to need advisors. And so those of you who are putting all your eggs into, for example, representing buyers, because you just love buyers and you love looking at pretty houses, really evaluate where do you want your business to evolve, because these consumers who are looking for advisors won't need buyer agents. They'll need advisors. So they want your expertise. They want your access. They want you to be able to refer them to an agent in California very easily. They want you to tell them what the tax benefits are of buying investment property versus, I don't know, a vacation home. So the thing about it is, in this system, the education's already there and we all have access to it. And so we can survive how this industry is transforming. I don't say what I'm saying to try to freak people out or make you think you need to go find another career. What I'm saying is we have an opportunity to prepare for it, because we can educate ourselves on how to do it, and we can create multiple streams of income, so that if we're not having a good year in sales, we're having a great year. And I call it coaching. I don't call it recruiting, because I'm coaching agents and they're successful and I'm making a little bit of money off of their success, and they're making a lot of bit of money off of their success. So that's where I think the industry is going. I think smaller boutique firms, mid-sized firms are going to become non-existent, because they won't be able to afford to stay in the industry. It's just getting too expensive for a small brokerage to be able to compete with the bigger corporation or franchise type models. Luckily, we're a corporation franchise model that's agent owned. And so we can compete with the big dogs. And so I think we'll be around. And so those smaller brands are going to get swallowed up by the bigger brands. And agents are going to start saying, do I need to follow my broker over here to this big brand, or do I need to go start my own thing, which they can't afford to do? So they're going to come naturally. We don't have to recruit. This model recruits itself. They're going to come over here because they're going to want to own more. The second part of your question is advice. And Tina hit on it. You guys are so lucky, because the one thing I tell agents now is, God, I wish social media was around when I first started. And I wish I was a little bit more organized, because the number one word that I tell people today is just be consistent. Just keep doing what you're doing every day. Even if you don't feel like it's paying off, don't keep changing from I'm going to be this type of agent or I'm going to focus on this type of business. Stick to something. Come up with the plan and commit to it with the budget and the time you're going to do it for 6 months to a year, and watch how much it's going to make you that much more successful. A lot of us get referrals. I know I'm probably the worst at it, but a lot of us get referrals today just because we've been in the business long enough, not because we made an effort to follow up with clients. Imagine if we actually made that effort and how much stronger, how much bigger our business would be. It's too easy, with social media now, for you to keep up with your clients. So do that, and your business is going to take off. And then the other thing I would say is definitely be your biggest cheerleader. You don't need anybody to tell you that you can be successful. You have to believe in yourself, because when you do that, just the presence of that in itself creates success. If you wear on your shoulders that I don't know how I'm going to make my utility bill, my payment, or my rent payment this month because I haven't sold a house, then that your clients can feel that. But when you go out the door and say, I don't know who I'm going to meet today, but it's going to be somebody great and I'm going to have a wonderful experience, then that person wants to buy a house from you and their friend wants to sell a house with you and they want you to be their best friend. And over time, you're going to be like, look, I got to tell some of y'all no, because there ain't enough hours in the day. Your business will become a residual effect of who you are as a person. So that's the strongest piece of advice I can give you from my failure, not from me saying this is what I did perfectly, but if I could go back, that's what I would do. Have a little bit more confidence in myself and be a lot more consistent.
Love it.
So little side note, but I'm going to get to it in a second. I recently got a little puppy, and that little puppy is a Belgian Malinois. So that puppy, apparently, I was told by a professional trainer, is a Ferrari of all dogs. I never owned a Ferrari, but my wife believes that we should get a trainer to train the dog. So that professional trainer said, so you're saying that you're going to get a Ferrari, you're going to have somebody else to test it out, they're going to give it back to you, still don't know how to drive it. It's like, oh, that's very good. So what, in my opinion, our company is the future. I think all of you have a Ferrari, right? We are here to help you to learn and show you how to drive that Ferrari, right? Because I believe we are here as the Ferraris, and we're going to help you to how to have one, how to drive it. Because when you talk to the best of the best with a company, to me, is just the future of real estate with all the technology and all the agents and all the sharing and the brain power, right? In my opinion, you have the best. Now, I would also tell you that because we are all real estate agents, it's upon you whether you want to drive the Ferrari or just going to look at it from outside and say, I wish you would have one, right? That's the reason I brought up my dog, sorry. But I think we are the future of real estate. I truly believe our company is the future.
Ferrari or Fiero?
Ferrari.
You pick.
Well, and honestly, for those of us that have been in the business 15 years, to me, I feel like I learn something new every day, but I can't believe how fast it's gone. I mean, just like you were talking about a beeper, I remember getting offers on a fax machine, and I don't feel like I'm that old. You know what I mean? We literally used to have to drop contracts to each agent, drop off a check with the contract. There was none of this. And so, you know, when I first started looking and I'd heard about EXP and they were like, it's a technology company. I was like, again, I just want to sell real estate, but technology is taking over our industry. Yes. And I can only imagine how quicker I would have been more successful if I would have had SkySlip to manage my transactions, KV Core as a CRM, all of these tools that if I'd have had this just in this great little bundle like I have now, I probably would, you know, be 3 times more successful. So those are things I would say from the advice perspective is to tap into everything. I've already gotten re-energized with our call nights the other night. I listened to one of the agents on my team who got Tina's script book, call somebody and get a listing appointment just like that. And I was like, what did you just do? I've never cold called anybody. You know what I mean? And so I sat there with her and I was like, you want me to see your script book?
Do I get a referral fee for that?
You do. She sent your download. That's true. So, I mean, stuff like that, I would say plug into me. I didn't necessarily need the leads, but I was there. Kelly was there. We were calling, you know, right alongside the other agents. And it was just really exciting to get excited again, I guess I would say. So I think if anybody is not successful at this company, it's because they're not plugging in everything that is available.
I'm going to plug it. Call night is in 2 weeks from tomorrow night from 4:30 to 6 at any of our locations.
Yeah,
we
we'll
would love
hold you
to add your
accountable. We'll
location.
motivate you. We'll share
We can
it.
add it. All right.
I'm going to add one last thing. I'm sorry. So my wife is a data scientist, right? And in her industry, data is king. Whomever owns the data is the one who's going to win the game, right? We have actually our CRM system, which is KV Core. Before I switched to EXP, I was looking at that particular website because it has the absolute best data that compiles over how to be a better agent, how to do better marketing, right? With EXP, we actually have, once again, the Ferrari of the data system that I believe no one else have. At least it is not free.
For only $35.
Which it was for me as an individual buying into it was $500 a month if I wasn't with EXP, right? So I do think that other than we have pretty much all the brains and all the technology, you also have a system that is unparalleled to anything, that basically have the data. And I think to all of you, I did have a pager. I did actually have, I don't even know what you call that phone, the back phone in my car, right? I mean, I came from old school, but that, I think you're 100% right. What I did in 28 years, I think you can duplicate it in 5. Literally, literally you can.
Yes.
So anyway, so I'm done.
Can I say,
Yeah.
I know when Marty was really vetting this and considering it, she met, didn't you meet with Glenn? And she came out of that meeting knowing, I remember you saying something, I don't know if you want to say it, but like kind of feeling like you knew this was a company that wasn't just here latently, but was going to actively
It was his
fight for the agents.
Well, it was actually who he considered our competition. And I came out of that meeting, know that he came from a tech background and that he was talking about Zillow and he was talking about Redfin and he was talking about all the things that I knew were going to gobble up a lot of agents' chance at this industry, because a lot of those are taken over as paid positions instead of the entrepreneur that you and I have enjoyed in our career. We were small entrepreneurs. We made it the most we could make it. So I felt like he came from that place. And I also love the story about Glenn, that he was not put in Gary's mastermind.
100.
So he said, he took this idea to Gary Keller and said, you know, we could change this company here and we could make it agent owned. So Gary said, that would cost me too much money. So he didn't do that. So Glenn went out and made that on his own. But Gary didn't invite him to his mastermind. So he decided to have his own.
That's right.
Good.
And I like that.
And we're glad he did.
That's right.
Renee actually commented, she said, I remember interviewing with Marty when I was 20 for a staff position when she was in college.
Wow.
I love these stories. I think we need to probably wrap this up, but thank you so much for joining us. Thank you guys for sharing your stories. And I already feel like I'm family. I feel like we all are, but it's just great to hear your personal stories, backgrounds, and where you've, ended up and still are going, and that you guys are energized, and it's due to what EXP, the brokerage, can offer you as a team leader, but just, in any level of real estate too, as a new agent or however you want to grow your business. So thank you all for being here.
Thank you guys. Thanks.